Soldier 76, a character from Overwatch, has been revealed to be gay in a short story published by people associated with the game. Known for his quip, "I've got you in my sights," we now know he's talking about chasing dick. This makes 76 the second gay character on the roster after Tracer was revealed to have a girlfriend in a comic 2 years ago. Interestingly, in that same comic, 76 is shown looking at a photo of him and a dark-haired man named Vincent, the same Vincent he purports to have previously had a love affair with in this news story. So this is by no means an arbitrary development for 76's character. Well, you can still argue it's arbitrary, but it's certainly been planned for at least 2 years, if not since the character's inception, possibly doubling as a get-out-of-jail-free PR card for Activision Blizzard if they ever fucked up elsewhere. I'm jumping ahead of myself here, though. First, let's talk about the ramifications of this situation. So Activision Blizzard writes a short story that confirms a character's non-heterosexuality. What happens in-game? Nothing. Overwatch is still Overwatch, a multiplayer-centric, lore-irrelevant set of skirmishes where additional plot details have zero impact on your matches. And because nothing happens in-game, the potential purpose of this announcement narrows its field of possibilities. I've always been confused about the structure of Overwatch's lore, why it's all outside the game in comics and short stories. Overwatch is a video game first, it was created to be played, but surrounding it is a lot of functionally useless fluff that serves the same purpose as fan fiction, only in this case the fans are the developers themselves. Hey, isn't our game cool? Don't we have interesting characters? Let's write about them without changing the game at all to reflect what we write. If it's just for fun, then nothing included within the stories or comics should be taken all that seriously, right? It's like Kingdom Hearts fan fiction that somehow always leads up to suddenly Sora and Riku engage in a passionate kiss. BRB, dipping my brain in acid to remove that image. Now I read the story, the Soldier 76 story, and it's handled with respect. He doesn't just look directly into the camera, rip his shirt off and go, "I'm gay!" and then start shooting off confetti cannons, although that is what some fans are doing metaphorically, and it seems like that's what Activision Blizzard wants them to do. They want it to be celebrated as this monumental breakthrough of representation. In the story, it's a quiet admission, never explicitly stated, but heavily implied. Brotherly love for a fellow soldier is an able scapegoat, if necessary, but the writer of the story confirms in a tweet that both Soldier 76 and Vincent are gay, and he does it with a heart emoji at the end. His name also has a party hat emoji in it, but that could be circumstantial, though certainly thematically fitting. They want people to throw parties over this information, and some fan demographics certainly feel like partying over the news. I think people on both sides of this are inflating the issue, because like I said, it's essentially endorsed fan fiction, it has no bearing on gameplay, and it means nothing to the vast majority of people who just play Overwatch to play Overwatch and don't give a shit. The only situation where this could come into play is if an Overwatch movie or animated series starts becoming a thing, and then all of a sudden the lore matters, and then they'll receive progressive furor if they don't highlight discussions about sexuality at the forefront, and it'll just turn into Glee or American Horror Story again, regurgitating old character arcs we've seen before. They should make an Overwatch series, though. It would be a natural step, and people would finally have a reason to care about the characters as they're forced to be fleshed out in a mainstream way as more than just billboards for their identity. There's a phenomenon that when characters are revealed to be gay, the gayness becomes the primary focus of that character, and every other quality they may have falls to the wayside as their sexuality takes over their whole identity in the eyes of some people who watch them. Now that this person is gay, all they are is gay, or the most important thing about them now is that they're gay. And people in response wonder why logically that's not the case with straight people. Heterosexuality is rarely thought of as a primary trait for a character, and even when they engage in decidedly heterosexual acts or discussions, most people find it easy to look past that as inconsequential and are able to focus on more universal motivations. I've thought about that recently, and to me it's biological, trickling into psychological. Heterosexuality is the default setting of almost every aspect of nature. Even asexual beings have more representation in nature than homosexuals. Have you ever thought about that? Evolutionarily, heterosexuality is the dominant form of reproduction, although asexuality might even have it beat since it applies to bacteria. I looked it up and couldn't find a single example of homosexual reproduction, whether in animals, plants, or microorganisms. The point being, since we can't reproduce asexually or homosexually, we as humans are biologically programmed to view heterosexuality as the normal sexuality, the main one, the only one that should exist in humans from a purely species-sustaining point of view. Gay people are different. They just are. They're still human, they're still people, but they're different in that way. So when we heteros are confronted with a gay character, we have to take extra effort to wrap our brain around all the intricacies surrounding that, and it takes a moment or two to get past. I don't believe it's naturally the same for gay people. I don't believe they question or have to wrap their brains around seeing straight people at all, because even though they don't fit the evolutionary standard for furthering the species, they innately know what it is and are born with that understanding. None of this is to say that gay people are less than, but they can be a confusing entity, and adding that complexity to a character is going to take away from other areas for a bit until we adjust. Activision Blizzard's stock is down 17%, thanks in part to the absolute disgraceful disaster that was the Diablo mobile game announcement. I advise you not to underestimate the power of progressive PR in restoring a company's damaged reputation, or at least burying it. We're at a point in society where all your past mistakes and transgressions can be shoved into obscurity with a well-timed diversity score. Take Nike. They did the Kaepernick campaign and stood up for kneeling, and now nobody even cares that they have Asian child laborers and all that shit. It's in the past, even though it's still in the present. You can replace your own headlines now by associating yourself with social change. Anytime Activision Blizzard finds themselves in hot water again, they can just bibbity-bobbity-boop Zarya into a transgender character and watch the praise roll in from everywhere. Whether you think that's why they're doing it or not, you have to accept that they could do that for that reason and it would work. It's genius. So in conclusion, to end my script like a middle school essay, in conclusion, there's tons of shit to extrapolate from seemingly meaningless announcements that actually have a ton of nuance, although maybe you just create it for yourself and place motives where they don't belong, but it's fun either way to hypothesize and work things out philosophically. That's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Sunburned Albino, and I'm leaving to visit my girlfriend for a few days tomorrow, so there won't be any videos for a little less than a week. I'll see you guys next time.